Ah, the good old government food pyramid. Oh no, where did it go? Oh, there it is. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Before 1992, Americans had no idea how to eat. I mean, just look at them, all sickly and lethargic. But then, our government scientists got together, crunched the numbers, possibly cashed some checks, and developed the modern marvel of nutrition known as the food pyramid. And the results speak for themselves. I mean, with results like this, why would the government now be backtracking so much that they have removed it from the webpage of the very government agency that designed it? That's a good question. And to answer it, we have to first ask what the food pyramid actually recommended. Now, as you can see, the base of the pyramid was composed of that which you should be eating the most of: grains, carbs, and lots of them, 6 to 11 servings a day. Next in line was fruits and vegetables with 2 to 4 and 3 to 5 servings a day, respectively. Meats and dairy were next in line with 2 to 3 servings a day. And finally, fats, oils, and sugars are to be consumed sparingly. I mean, that makes sense, right? I mean, for a healthy diet, limit meat and dairy and just load up on carbohydrates. What could possibly go wrong? Well, you could end up with an obese population that thinks eating Wonder Bread is good for you, but steak is bad. And if you're starting to get a bit skeptical, well, good. You should be. Because here's what we found out decades after the population started gorging itself on carbs as per government advice. It turns out if the government was going to start encouraging people to eat a certain way, the industries that actually provided those foods wanted to get in on the game. Recommendations of 6 to 11 servings of grains a day didn't just pop out of thin air or become the logical conclusion after decades of careful research. It was partially a result of very strategic lobbying. And it wasn't just the amount of grains, it was the types of grains suggested, with lobbyists even confusing the public about what carbs actually were. And it wasn't just what they told people to eat, it was also what they told them not to. I mean, fats became the cause of, well, why everyone was fat, especially saturated fats. And the best way to avoid fats was to eat anything that was, well, fat-free. But this wasn't the first time the government got things horribly wrong. The government first started meddling in food in the 1860s, but it really kicked off after the muckraker journalist Upton Sinclair published The Jungle. Now forget for a second that The Jungle was routinely mocked and ridiculed by other activists that considered it to be shameless sensationalism. After all, shameless sensationalism is exactly what politicians are after, so they started to do something about it. And in the early 1900s, following the negative press from Upton Sinclair's journalism, Procter & Gamble was able to engage in a large media campaign that convinced consumers to switch from traditional meat products like lard, tallow, and butter to Procter & Gamble's hydrogenated oil product called Crisco. But that's not all. In 1955, Dwight D. Eisenhower suffered a heart attack. His physician, Dr. White, introduced him to the nutritional ideas of a man named Ancel Keys. Eisenhower took to Ansel's ideas and instructed Dr. White to publicly announce Eisenhower's support for Keys and his dietary recommendations. Keys is the one that popularized the idea that saturated fats were linked to heart disease. The thing is, turns out your body kind of needs fats. Your brain needs fats. You actually need cholesterol and a number of other things. And oh, by the way, the studies conducted by Ancel Keys linking saturated fats to heart disease, turns out that at the time they were heavily criticized, but the government picked it up anyway, largely because of Eisenhower's recommendation. Now, funny enough, following these events, President Eisenhower actually suffered a stroke, cholecystitis, Crohn's disease, and 6 more heart attacks until his eventual death in 1969 due to, well, congestive heart failure. So you would think somebody would pick up on maybe this diet isn't explaining things as well as we were told. And because we were supposedly living in a time where we never had so much scientific insight into what we should eat, at the same time, we were getting fatter, more lethargic, and suffering from more obesity-related illnesses than ever before. And then a few people started to question the status quo. People like Jordan and Michaela Peterson, or my wife and others started doing things like the carnivore diet, a diet based almost exclusively on one section of the food pyramid, and which doctors assured them would lead to increased heart disease while depriving them of all of the benefits of 11 servings of grains a day. But rather than getting fat, dying of high cholesterol, or experiencing some of the other diet-related diseases, they started to feel better. A whole variety of ailments and autoimmune diseases just kind of went away. And it's not just the carnivores, because spoiler alert, I'm not giving up sourdough. Meat consumption is not only back, so is cooking with things like lard and tallow, as opposed to seed oils. In fact, sales of things like beef, pork, lamb, poultry, and other meat in the United States hit a record $104.6 billion last year, representing a 7% increase over last year. More studies are coming out demonstrating the benefits of eating meat, from better health to higher testosterone. So does this mean that everyone should just abandon eating anything except animal products? No. I'm not saying that, because I'm not a heavy lobbied government report, but maybe you should stop listening to bad government advice, because it turns out that the reason meat is making a massive comeback is not simply because it's delicious, but because it can actually be very good for you. So maybe don't take government research at face value, because next they'll be telling you crazy things like you have to eat bugs to save the planet.